and then it comes Ringling and USC, the University of Southern California. So actually, I think, yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's all about me, maybe.
Okay, thank you. So James, do you want to go second?
Yeah, sure. So my name is James. I'm doing interactive design in NYU. And it is probably the top university right now for interactive design, since it's such a new subject. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, Tracy, do you want to go?
Hi guys, I'm Tracy. I'm a rising sophomore, majoring in architecture in Cornell University.
Okay, and I guess I should introduce myself as well. So this is my picture now. Yeah. So my name is Kenneth. I'm currently in grade 11, going to grade 12, and I have some. I go to Elgin Park Secondary in Surrey, BC, Canada. There's some photos of me. I like music. I like cats, and there's some. I don't know how to scroll. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I also like design, and let me just. I think I can. So for the Co-Create Design Factory, I also have a website that I will drop in the Zoom chat later. So for now, I think we can start our presentation with Connor. So if everyone could please just mute themselves and not interrupt Connor, that would be very appreciated. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so today I'm going to answer 4 questions, and the first is that why I'm majoring in art and design. So yeah, like everyone asked me this question. So basically, at first, when I just entered the high school, I decided to major in like architecture, I mean. So, and at last, as you can see now, I'm majoring in animation. And so, well, what's the process? I mean, at first, I just thought about the career, the future works. So I choose architecture because I think I can get a higher salary. But then I began to thinking what is more suitable about me. I mean, from middle school, I like to telling stories and I like to listening to different types of musics, and I wrote some short novel, although now I think those novels are just rubbish, but my mom's and even my teacher, they think they are really pretty good, and I got the talent of telling stories. And also I like drawing characters and stuff like that. Like maybe in middle school, me and my classmates, we play some card games, and I just draw them. I just draw them on the paper so we can play them at the school. You know, we cannot bring our smartphones to the school, so I just draw all the cards so we can play them. And at that time, I found that I'm interested in drawing rather than just playing card games. So when I entered the high school, I began to think, is there any art style that can combine all these things, the stories and musics and drawing together? So then it comes to animation. And I also watched a lot of animations since I was young. So yeah, and that's why I choose animation as my major. And the animation, the future works may be animation and animation designer for storyboards or characters, or I maybe I may enter the game design. It's two very close field. And after I graduate, I mean, in cards, even you are not graduates, many firms will come to you and to ask you if you want to work at their company, because you know cards is actually the best in the animation area. So I may just start working at a company for some years, and after I get enough experiences, I can find some friends and have our own studio to make some works, to create something that we really want to do, not just work for someone else. And so basically, I think the question everyone wants to answer is how I get into the college that I dream to. Basically, I have two questions. I have two answers for this question. The first is about the portfolio. Everyone have to send their collection of works to the college. So the first answer is about the portfolio. As our artists and designers, we will look at references, others' works. So I'm telling you that you should see more of the master's works than of your peers. Well, when you look at your peers' work, you will feel the peer pressure. It's sometimes a good thing for some people, but it will also cause some problems. As people like us who are involved in art and design, we tend to look down at our own work and focus on our own shortcomings. And sometimes we will be discouraged from viewing the works of our peers. For me, when I just entered the high school and choose to major in animation, CARS was my dream school. And so at that time, I looked a lot of works of the of people who got offer from CARS, and I think, what are these? Is this work can be done age of 16 or 17? I mean, those works looks like a designer who already got a work, and I think no, I would never done things like that. And so I was really confused and really upset. And after 1 or 2 years, I entered a critique of a professor from CARS, and he told me this, to view the master's works rather than peers, because the works of our peers is more often limited by the age. They can be really talented, but it's still limited by their age. They are just a teenager, and there is a more like a difference, or not a level of difference. Our techniques is not the difference of techniques, it's just the differences between different artists and designers. So if we pay too much attention about the works of our peers, we will just fall behind them and maybe lose our own styles and lose what we are really good at. So after that, I began to look at some of the master's works, and I found that I'm really good at, making storyboards to focus on the motion of the camera, and that's I'm good at. And I may be more confident, and paying more attention to the works of masters will give you a higher goal, and you can have a clearer plan. And the second is about the GPA, the grades. Well, for me, my agency often tell me that I should pay more effort into my portfolio, because they think the universities may have more lenient GPA requirements for art and design students. But in fact, I think it was totally wrong. First of all, any student should aim for an A grade. Generally speaking, if your goal is like 100, then you might end up with 80 or 90. And if your goal is 80, then you might only get a 60 or 70. So it is important to set your goal higher than your needs. And also, it's important for designer to learn skills in different fields, which often brings us a lot of inspirations. Well, for me, my friends, Eric, he majored in 3D printings and computers, those stuff, and I got really a lot of inspiration from him. Not just about the design of cyberpunk style, but also I can use some 3D print techniques to accomplish my own works. So and students who major in art and design, when they go into colleges, they tend to choose a double major. Just the interaction between different fields is really cool for a designer. And last, I think learning new things is really cool. For me, I'm interested in economics. It tells me how everything works. The economics is basically everything in our lives, and knowing how things work is really a fun thing for me. So I think GPA, your grades, and actually it's just about learning, is very important for artists and designers. And last, I will share you one of my work, which is a sketchbook. And I think I should supposed to share my screen.
Yeah,
I
it's
can share my screen.
it should be green. Maybe on the top of your
Like this. Okay.
Yeah, I see it now.
Okay. Okay, it's a 2-3 minutes video about a sketchbook. And it's basically a sketchbook about me and my cats. When I look about other collections, their sketchbooks, I'm really, really surprised about their techniques. They're really good at drawing everything in their lives. And now I still think my skills is not as good as theirs, but I got offer from cars, and I think it's because they see that I pay attention to my lives, cats and people's in my lives, and they think this is good for an artist or a designer. So yeah. So basically, this whole sketchbook is about the story between me and my cats.
Connor, is the video supposed to be moving?
Yeah, it's frozen, I think.
Yeah, it's a little frozen.
Pardon?
It's I think it's because the iPad and the Zoom, and because you're sharing a video, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little laggy, 有一点卡.
Oh,
So maybe you want to just pause at different frames so we could see.
okay. So I'll choose some pages that are, I think, is pretty
Yes,
cool.
thank
Yeah,
you.
like this one. It's about I don't know its name in English, but in Chinese we will call it 狮子猫. So I try to different art styles in drawing different cats, and I think it's pretty cool. And at this page you can see that my cat reminds me about a character in a movie. So I just painted on this page. So I think I'm trying to make my sketchbooks looks interesting, not boring, like you're just showing your skills. I don't think your work should be supposed like just about your skills. The people, the college, they want to see how you think. Your idea is more important than the skills, because you're just a teenager. How good can be you as a designer? So your idea, how you see everything in your life, that's important. And yeah, these things are about cat rescue. I mean, street cat. Let's see. Yes, pause. Oh, no. Yeah, you know, sketchbook is like you draw everything in your life, a scene or a character. Okay, I didn't think this. Okay, so that's I think that's all I want to tell you, you know, about your portfolio, about your learning, and about your works. You should pay more attention to things in your lives and to show your ideas to the college. And yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. And now we're gonna move on to I guess the Q&A section. So if you have any questions for Connor, you can type it in the chat or raise your hand and you can open your mic to ask the questions. And you can type it in Chinese as well, right? So that it could be in English and Mandarin. Okay, so we'll just give it a couple of seconds. Okay, I have a question for you. So can you tell us a little bit about your university or college?
You mean cards?
Yeah, college.
So it was my dream school, and it's no more than dream school because now it's come true. Yeah. So in animation area, it literally the best, and maybe the second is Ringling or the University of Southern California, and but cards is just the best, and it's only gives offer to few people. Like this year, we Chinese got like 5 or 6 the whole China. Okay, so am I supposed to answer the question in the chat, or okay, I will choose answer your question first.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's really hard to get offer from the school. And at that day I got the offer, I supposed to get a rejection letter, and I see what is a congratulation, what is this? Yeah, at that time I'm still waiting for the offer of like USC and other schools, and what? Yeah, I mean, I never thought I could get offer from it. So it's really, you know, it's first time for everyone. And yeah, it's.
Right.
Mm.
Oh, I think there's a, oh, thank you. I think there's a question in the chat, if you could see.
Hollywood, no, actually, you know, Cards is 就是这个 Cards 它是迪士尼建立的 so it's like most students who go to Disney or other big firms. Yeah, so but not Hollywood. Hollywood is more like films. Yeah, Disney. The fee, the tuition fee is sorry, I should check it. I think I have to make sure. I think it should be supposed to be around $50,000 per year, and after adding. Yeah, and it will be around 70,000 after adding the living expense. The grades, the grades, my grades is not really good, you know. I'm the one who aiming at a few Bs. I think the few Bs can be accepted by universities, so eventually I got 6B. I mean, that's a disaster. but I got 6B. 3 in the first year and 3 in the second year. I think the key to get an offer, the first is the portfolio, and second is all the activities you've done in those 2 years. I think the portfolio is really important to show your ideas. It's a sketchbook you just showed. It's the portfolio of the cards application. Cards really takes your sketchbook very important as a big part of your portfolio. How does it like to? How long did it need to take to sketch those? Actually, I drew 2 sketchbooks. The first I spent like months because at that time I think I'm just to draw a sketchbook to format application. I'm drawing it for the application, and I'm really stuck. I'm all the days I'm thinking about what those officers likes and how can I show my skills, and it took me months to get a really bad result. I do not now I cannot even think that the first sketchbook. Sorry, my English is not really fluent. I mean, the first sketchbook is really, really bad, and after that, when I drew the second one, it only takes me a few weeks, because at that time I'm just drawing everything in my life. I'm not thinking about my applications. I just follow what I want to draw. So it only takes me a few weeks. And okay, no, 当然这个 the sketchbook is not the whole portfolio. And I got a storyboard and a bunch of character design and stop motion animation. Do you know that stop motion animation is that you take picture of each, 就是你把每一帧，你把每个 frame 你都拍一张照片，然后用实物去，就是真实的物品去做一个动画，就是一个 stop motion animation. And other works like 一些这种素描和一些水彩的练习，这种stop motion animation。但是不是分享这个视频会卡的，就是本来那个定格动画就是12 frame per second， 然后如果它再卡一下的话，就可能效果不是很好。对，我不确定啊，而且就是 that stop motion animation, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it is fine, because I think Zoom has a pretty low frame per second, so it might just skip frames. And
Thank you.
does anyone have any more questions? Okay, so I think if everyone has done, we can thank Connor for giving us such an amazing presentation. And I just want to say, I really resonate with you, because as a design student who's going into design, I really like other subjects as well. So like physics and math. And I really hope in university I could explore these with design and somehow kind of incorporate those. So I really liked your presentation. And it was really interesting to me. And okay, so thank you, Connor. And we're gonna move on to James. James, are you ready?
Hello. So I'm James. I'm going to NYU next year, and today I'm going to talk about how I got into NYU. So first question first, why do I want to study art? I think it started off with passion and then moved on to something more than just I like doing art. I want to be an artist. Initially, when I was like 6-7 years old, I'm like addicted to Legos and sketching. I would go to like go on the internet, find like different picture of dinosaurs, and then just go off from there. But as years have passed, I think I developed more of a sketching skill. Like I would do very, very quick and neat sketches. And later on, I think it helped me imagine stuff. Like I'll be imagining different sorts of designs in my head, and I would quickly sketch them out. And it fascinates me sometimes because I don't even think, I'm not even thinking I'm sketching. It just comes out of my hand. And I feel like it's some of the talent I shouldn't waste. So I started to dig deeper into the field of design. So why did I go for interactive design? Interactive design is like a in between computer engineering and design. Well, I was just like complaining about it a few weeks ago about how three of the four of my major courses are computer engineering courses, like data structures, coding. Well, I only have one art course, which is graphic design, which is technically called interactive design. But I feel like these cross-industry fields are getting more and more popular as technology improves. Facebook started to work on this metaverse thingamajig. I heard Google had been doing this sort of virtual world, quote unquote, for a few years now. The society is definitely needing more and more interactive design students and workers. And I think this is a great opportunity for me to step into this field. So let's move on to the most important question, portfolios. I think from my experience, different schools value different points in your portfolio. For example, RISD will care more about the traditional side of things. They prefer charcoal paintings, they prefer oil paintings. They want to see that detailed brush marks and the techniques and the color combinations, you know, color scheme, and the light and shadows, of course. But on the other hand, schools like Art Center will focus more on your idea development or your proficiency in using Photoshop, using Maya, using Mudbox, using ZBrush. I think depends on what your dream school is and what your major is, you should focus on different part of the portfolio. For me, as an interactive design student, I focus more on the technical side of things. I had a few like some very traditional drawings, but I have more like website design, phone design, app design. I even have a little bit of coding in it because, you know, it's part of the course. But what my main idea is, learn what's the specific university want from you. Look at portfolios from like the previous students from this university. Look at your elders, and then try to find that one thing the university is looking for, and start to, you know, target your dream university. Now, one mistake I made from this process is that I kind of went off on two branches of design. I tried industrial design and interactive design, which is a big mistake. Since those two are two different fields, I basically had to do two different portfolios for them, which wasted a lot of my time. And I ended up completely failing on the industrial design side. Like none of the universities actually accepted me, but at least I got the the interactive design side. So my suggestion is dedicate into one subject, dedicate yourself into one university that you really want to go for. All the other side university are just, you know, backups. Or maybe you think you can do even better. You can try one or two challenging ones, but one university is enough. Now let's talk about how grades outside of school activities and how those can affect your application. From my experience, if you want to go for a top-notch art school that the top-notch art school, you don't need that high of a grade. You need somewhere around 80 to 90-ish for art school, but art school specifically. If you want to go for a top-notch university, which means like MIT, like New York, like a actual official university, then your grades do matter a lot. Your grade is basically your entry line to this university. If you don't meet the grade requirements, they won't even bother looking at your portfolio, no matter how stunning it is. It can be like looking really, really professional, and it still doesn't matter. I asked a MIT's what do you call it? MIT teacher about this, and he said this word to word to me: get your average grades up. They won't even consider your portfolio until you hit the requirement. What is my notes? Let me look at it. Oh yeah. So priority list. I think it's better for you to create a priority list over, what kind of portfolio you've been creating, and keep tracking which one you should focus more time in. Because for me personally, I had a little bit of time a time problem, because I was thinking I had enough time, because I finished basically 99% of my portfolio before grade 12. In the whole grade 12 year, I was dedicating myself into the challenging prompts that schools gave me. However, I still find myself in a little bit of a time rush, because I went back and refined a few of my previous portfolio pieces. I think with a priority list, you should prioritize pieces that you spend the most time, like your major pieces, your beginning 3 and your ending 3. In your portfolio, you want to keep the first 3 of your portfolio pieces, the most stunning ones, just the slay girl performing slay girl pieces.
我不知道有没有价值。
And then the last 3, they should also be like top notch. So I think if I would do my portfolio again, I would spend way more time on those 6 pieces than any other ones. Finally, it's time management. Once you hit grade 12, I think you will go into a time rush, of which it's very hard to balance your time between like high school works. When do you want to push for a high grade? When do you want to push for a test? And your university essays, university prompts over the portfolio prompts, and then over whatever sketchbook or activity you've been doing for so long. For me, the main difficulty is to sometimes give up 1 test or 2 tests to focus on my university essays. For my NYU essay, I spent nearly a month just dedicating myself to like refine it again and again. I asked my my editor like I believe 40 something times, to the point even he is annoyed at me. And then finally I came up with like a satisfied version of it. I think at the end of the day, your grade 12 grades doesn't matter as much as your grade 11 grade. So balance your time well, have a great essay, have great activities. I think that matters more than just having also a extremely high grade 12 grades. The last thing I want to talk about is dedicating to your major, commit to something that you actually like. I had a lot of talks with people who already studied, in their university, and they talked about changing majors, because maybe they chose a easy major to get in a specific school, and then they want to switch a major later on. And some told me, if you want to get into a popular major, it is, and you somehow don't think yourself can qualify in like directly into the major, then just go for a university that's that you're capable of, because transferring second year is way more competitive than just going in.
点披萨了吗？没呢，我现在要点。
just going in first year. From my experience, 99% of
天
like
呐 ，watercolor 了，
哦，喜欢吗？
那个灰里头有绿颜色，然后我不知道，然后我把那个灰颜色搁到那个房子里头，然后
No, sorry, James. You can keep going.
don't worry about it. From like my friend's experience, 99% of the people in these trashier major, like printmaking major, like clay, whatever you do with that, they also want to transfer into this popular major. So they are all potential competitors. You basically have to spend one more year learning stuff that you potentially will never need for the rest of your life, and trying to compete for the 1 or 2 spots of transferring major. I think you'd rather go for a university that's not as highly ranked, but it's your favorite major. And yeah, at last, I would like to share 2 pieces of my portfolio. Or my notes, please. Thank you. So these 2 are 2 of my earlier portfolios. I actually chose these 2 because I think one of them is a lot better than the other one. From my experience, portfolio pieces with a story following behind is typically a lot stronger than portfolio pieces with just a very classic prompt, like, oh, environment, we have to protect the environment. You know, it's about, this one's about mental health. This one's about injustice in the society, or maybe racism or something. Well, not racism, that's too sensitive a topic. But for this piece, I called it, what do you call it, trending victims. So basically, I developed from a phenomenon I saw from the society nowadays, and then I started trying to picture that in my head. It's completely, it's just very fascinating how you know, when you try to create something that's from you go off from a prompt that you have created, you get so much more freedom and creativity. And when you write the description or the story following up with it, it's a lot easier. On the other hand, this one is a prompt given by I believe a word called boat sea, and then the prompt is to protect the ocean. And I was like trying to come up with a saying, or a message that makes sense somewhat, and it's such a struggle. And I feel like at the end of the day, the message isn't that strong. Sure, I may use some good techniques here. I still think the piece is generally very weak. Also, my description and my story following up isn't as strong because it's just to protect the environment. You know, what more can you say about it? You want a personal story to follow up with your portfolio pieces. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you, James.
No problem.
That was really great. Does anyone have any questions for James? Okay, we'll give it a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Okay, well, why don't I just ask my question then? So like, so you're majoring in interactive design. Yes. And I wanted to ask you, so for drawing, what is your favorite medium?
Medium. That's a very interesting question. I like charcoal. I think it's a quick and easy way to construct something that has great contrast between shadow and light. I feel like with a dark charcoal, you can, you know, sketch very quickly, and it gives a very strong visual effect. And that's why I like it. Do you need to include more abstract work in your portfolio? Great question. I have a lot of abstract stuff around the ending point of my my portfolio, with the more skilled, the more traditional art pieces in the beginning of my portfolio. Because in the beginning, I want to hook people up and give people the image that I'm a committed art student. I have the foundation skills. I have I know the basic of art. And later on, near the ending of my art portfolio, I have more abstract stuff, like, because I want to show them my thinking at that point. And then to finish off, together with my strongest pieces, I have some more major focused portfolio pieces. I have a app design by myself in the end of my portfolio, just to make it feel like I really want to get into this major. I have the skills for this major. I know how to use Maya. I know how to use Photoshop. I know how to use whatever softwares there are. And to show them, I really enjoy doing this. Could you please introduce IB art? Okay. Don't go into IB art. That's my only advice. It was pain. Actually, do IB art 11, but don't do IB art 12. IBR 11 is a process, it's a learning process of which they teach you all the skills that you need to complete IBR 12. On the other hand, IBR 12 is basically you grind assignment, you do a essay on them, and then at the end of the day, you do a something called comparative study and another thing called process portfolio. So what comparative study is, it's basically you research 3 artists, and then you have to find the similarities, you have to find the differences, you have to research their technical skills, their social backgrounds and stuff. I don't think it's really worth it. I think grade 11 IB art is professional. It's really good. But grade 12 IB art is just additional workload upon this billions of essays you have to write already. What's your opinion on Blender? I love Blender, bro. Maya is, because I've chatted with a lot of 3D modelers and stuff. I've also been active on a lot of 3D modeler sites. This is a very common question we've been talking about, is that Maya is such an industrial standard. Is Blender ever going to surpass that? Or is Blender going to become more and more professional? From this day and age right now, I feel like Blender has more utility, and it makes your life a lot easier. No, whether it's a UI design, whether it's the shortcut keys, I feel like Blender has the upper hand. However, Maya is just, it has been around its industry for so many years. It's gonna take a long time for people to get over the age of Maya. I think it's great to learn both, because both teaches you a lot about 3D modeling, but don't give up on Blender. I love Blender. It's one of the best apps I've ever used. Is drawing skill very, very important about interactive art? As I know you mostly do things digitally and not really drawing things. You don't need. Okay, let's keep this straight. The fundamentals of art is still needed to get into interactive design. It's just that you need more of some major focused art pieces. For example, personally, I've been studying art, like traditional art, for nearly 7 years now. I have a very good foundation of charcoals, acrylic, whatever there are, and what I'm saying is that you just have to learn the apps, the newer technologies to follow up. You have to show that you're keeping in touch with whatever interactive design is. You know what it is you want to pursue further in this career. You still need to draw people. You still need to learn There's a human autonomy and stuff. Very boring, I know, but you still need them. And also you need pretty high grades to get into good universities. Again, if you want to go for art school, 80 to 90 is enough. But if you want to go for something that's like interactive design, it's basically in between computer engineering and design, right? So you actually need a really high grade to get in. I do know him. He's one of my best friend and teacher. Yes. Any more questions? No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. That was a very lovely presentation. I think it's great how you think about like incorporating personal stories in your artworks.
Well, it's just making your portfolio more
Yeah.
personal than other people, because
like more
when you
powerful.
come off with general prompts, it makes your it makes people feel like it's not genuine, it's not something that you actually experienced. You want to make your portfolio pieces more relatable, more I want to say personalized in a way. Like it's just, this is your style, your ways of doing things. This is your creative thinking. That's my point.
Okay, thank you. So now we're gonna move on to Tracy.
Hey guys, I will share the screen first. Okay, so I guess since like the topic of our presentation is about explore art, I want to like first kind of discuss about what is art. As you guys listen, Connor and James talk about like design, and then there's like so much things about design, like all kinds of design, architecture design, user interface design, and like other like animation, illustration. And then so like there's so much stuff about art. There's art, architecture, craft, history, maybe like even relate to psychology and also computer science. So then art is not a simple category that it exists itself. It's like a combination of everything. So I think before going to art school, you should realize that only know how to draw is not important. So I guess I was moving on to the next one. So why I major in architecture. So I guess it's really it's kind of because my childhood experience, because I started to draw when I was 4 years old. I do like all kinds of media. I just play with art when I was really young. I do like watercolor, acrylic, and all kinds of craft. So like I would buy like lots of like supplies at home and then make any kinds of craft. So like at the beginning, it might not be architectural, it might be like jewelry, soap, or textile. So it's kind of like art is really manifesting my life. But then at the same time, I also love science. I use my free time to watch like scientific documentary, scientific talk, and scientific magazine. It's like maybe it's like biology, chemistry, or physics. So that's why like in high school, I learned all the science courses from 11 to 12. I think in addition, besides science and art, I'm also really a historical fan. Like I will watch, I really love archaeology, that because my dad loved it. So then I always watch like archaeology documentary with my parents. And then we basically have lots of talk with them. So I gained lots of experience. Beside that, I also travel a lot. I think I've been went to like over 15 countries. So like traveling to different world like it's basically like different world, because you see different countries have their style of architecture or landscape. So I think all these affect what I made my like final decision of majoring in architecture, because I think whether majoring in art or majoring in science will let me regret my decision later, because I don't want to give up anything. So then I think architecture is a combination of all of them. And what I hope is actually true, because what I learned in university is like all kinds of aspects is what I love. So I guess I will move on to what it's like of being in architecture school, or slash what it's like of going to university. So maybe I will start to talk about what kind of class do I have as an architecture student. So I have an architecture history class as a really important course. And then I also have representation class, basically learning how to represent something visually. And I also have environmental system class. It's basically learning how to create spaces by controlling lights, ventilation, and many kinds of aspects, maybe shades, glare, to create a comfort space for different people in different location and climate. And there's also other classes like structure. So basically you can think about it as civil engineering. You learn loads, bending stress, bending moment, torque. So basically your physics class in high school can be like a starting as a structure class. In addition, there's the most important class, studio. So then we have 3 studio classes each week. So every other day. And then each studio class is 4 hours long. I think unlike other like art classes, so in our university, the studio class is like, we use it really effective. We don't just like stay there working. We have first year is TA. So we during each studio class, we're going to like discuss with our TA one-on-one, like for 30 minutes, talking about our design, asking questions, and then they will give and then start to like solve problems together. So then this will in second year, this will still continue, but then rather than TA, there will be professor in each section. So one professor is going to teach about 10 students. Well, there is still professor in our first year, so that because like we have 6 sections in our grade, and then they will have 6 TAs with 2 professors. So that you still have chance to talk with your professor. Like whenever you have question, you can just email your professor, and then they will just come down from their office to your desk and then discuss with you. Like I think during studio, it's really, really important for communication, because don't worry about somebody will think you don't know this or you don't know that, because you're the first year student, and so you need to like have questions. I think many times my good inspiration and really good solution is come from the discussion from me and my TA and professor. And so basically in our school, the architecture program, we have one large project in one semester. And then so the large project is divided into multiple small assignments. And then after each assignment, we have this thing called pin-up, where we pin up our work, and then we're having critique. So sometimes the critique can include like 2 or 3 professors. And then in the final review, which is basically our final exam, the pin-up is going to be like 6 or 7 visiting critique. They can be professor or like other specialists from other university or from the industry. I think in architecture school, it's really important for communication expression. I know you guys might worried about people being subjective. So this is the issue that like all the art student and architecture student face, because art, like in this like large category or whatever you call, there's like so much subjective stuff. Like this professor might like your work, but the other professor might hate your work. So in the beginning of the semester, I was really stressful because someone might not recognize my work or they don't love it. I think it's not all about like what you did designing are bad, because there's more thing that is really important in art and architecture. You really need to express yourself effectively. You need to like let the teacher or the audience know what's unique about your project. So you need to like find a way of expressing your idea, your logic, or your design, or your inspiration in an effective way, so that people can recognize what's special, what's important, and what makes your project really good. Do I enjoy it? I would say it's super tired in first year, but I do really enjoy it because I learned lots of stuff. So this also comes to the studio atmosphere. So I've never thought about like being in such an environment at university, because in other like traditional major like science or physics, you in university everyone have different courses, so you might just be the classmate of such person for like one course or two course, and then you will never meet again. But then in architecture school, you have all the classes together. You have your own studio space, and then like everyone's sitting together. So whenever you have question or concern, you can discuss with your peers, with your classmate. It's really a positive environment, because you're motivating other and also yourself every moment. So for example, for me, my roommate is also in architecture major. So I think we're like so architecture is like manifesting our life like 24/7, because at studio we'll discuss with each idea. When I'm struggle, I will ask other people for help, and then like everyone's like so encouraged. No one is like worrying about like his idea or her idea is better than like mine or something. Like everyone's like suggesting good idea, because we know that helping others is also improving yourself. I guess so things I wish I knew earlier. I guess I will divide it to 3 categories. So like first is portfolio. I guess Connor and James talked a lot about it. I might just add on a little. Yeah, definitely leave yourself plenty of time, like at least 2 months before the deadline of your application, because there's always something that you don't expect to happen. And also these like artwork or your portfolio always like take double or triple of the time you expected. There will be like other questions beside essays, for example, submitting your IELTS mark, submitting your transcript. They all might be like a question and you cannot solve it immediately. So leave yourself plenty of time before finishing, leave yourself plenty of time before like the deadline. And I guess somebody will also ask, how do I know what kind of portfolio the university expecting? I guess a really good way is to maybe follow those university Instagram account or like any kind of social media that you feel comfortable about, because these university, like they all have their own social media account, and then you can follow them. They'll post students work, so that you know what kind of style they love to have. So then moving on to the next one. So I wish I could know earlier is that in my free time, I would I would learn more software, for example, Photoshop, Rhino, AutoCAD, or like other software that you might use in the future. Because in university, your professor might may teach you these, but then it's really short time. Like I wasn't like realize that until I went to university. So I waste a lot of time figuring out such some specific commands or software like in my in other time. So but then like when I look at other students, they already familiar with these software, so they have like a more efficient time, and then they can do things much faster. So definitely have some basic and general idea with the software that you're going to use. In addition, I think you should definitely follow like follow some account or magazine or blogs that relate to the major you're applying. For example, I followed many architectural accounts on Pinterest and also on Instagram. You might not find them like useful immediately, but like whenever I save them to my like file or like document them, I will always find them a really good inspiration before like each of my assignment. Like I will always go back because you just don't know whenever it's helpful, but then they're definitely like helpful when you're doing research or doing like new design. I guess for the last point, entering university, I think be prepared to know that you're not the best student. You might be draw really good, or like your grade might be like the highest in the school, but then when you enter the major like when you enter the major, you find like everyone is doing the same major as you. So definitely each person is a specialist. So you guys are like all in the same pool. So then you're not the best anymore. So like be prepared to realize that. And this might result you to be like really stressful, and you might have lots of pressure. Things like everyone beside you are like elite and they're like smart, or they have really good skill, but then just change this pressure to motivation. Thank you. So I guess I'll also share a few of my work. So this work is my pad is like my application drawing is acrylic. And the second one is an architectural model. So back before I go to university, I don't really have an idea about like making architectural model. I just think about, well, making a model that is pretty is important. But then after I go to university, I realized there's much things like you need to consider about. You need to consider logic, you need to consider people's experience inside of the architecture, you need to consider the culture in like the city or the region you're considered to build your architecture. We need to consider the climate. So there's much things to consider. And last, I'm gonna show you the model I made for the first semester of my university. So this is a wearable device that prevents the climate I was researching firestorm. So there's many logic behind it. So I won't waste time talking about it, but then I think in university, I learned so much things besides making stuff prettier. So I guess any questions?
Can I ask you, so for your so your second piece?
This one?
Yeah, so is it a physical model?
Yeah, it's a physical model.
Oh, okay. So it's supposed to be kind of like an installation, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like an public architecture, kind of like create a space for people to chill and hang out. So I think this one is the function is not the most important thing for this one.
Okay.
So software, I think for the first semester, we're not encouraged to use any software because the professor is trying to let us to not limit because we're not familiar with software, so then the ability of handling software might limit our expression. So then in the first semester, we're not really using any software. But then in second semester, we're focusing on using Rhino, Grasshopper, and Photoshop, Lightroom, and Illustrator. But then I guess there's like way more software that you need to know. And then as you as you're moving on to the second year of your like sophomore, third year or fourth year, the professor won't tell you which software you're using. So it really depends on you. You might find this software is really helpful with you, then you choose this software to render and that software to draw. So few of the software that I'm trying to study more is AutoCAD, Twinmotion, Lumion, and Inkscape. Yeah.
Oh, and there's also another question that's asked you, what do you think is the hardest subject in university? I'm assuming other than architecture.
Well, I think there's no hardest subject because I think I devote most of the time to studio because because as I mentioned, we have structure, environmental system, architecture, history, and other courses. But then I think 90% of the time I spend it on studio. The rest, I think, because everyone who go to our university doesn't have like any problem for those academic course. So we basically spend 1 hour maximum and on other course, like each course 1 hour maximum to study. Like structure, I won't spend, like I will just take one day or like one afternoon to like review it. And then like maybe history, I will just like take half hour like in this week to study, and then I'm fine with that.
All right, thank you. And there's a few more questions in the chat.
Okay. Is there any suggestion of student going to university this autumn? What should they do this summer? I think this summer, as I said before, start to learn some software so you won't be like not prepared for the course. And I think definitely learn more knowledge, maybe like read more magazine, read more book, to broaden your like knowledge, so you have more ideas when you're designing, because the more you know, the more inspiration you could get. Do you want, like, I think I will just say in Chinese since the question is in Chinese. 高中选课的话，其实我一开始就是没有很想，没有，我是11年级才想学建筑，所以但是之前我一直都很热爱，我都很热爱科学嘛，所以我科学所有的课都是物理、生物、化学都是把11、12年级的都学了，然后包括art 课的话，我也是有上的，但是我觉得如果你现在已经决定学建筑的话，肯定物理课是要有的，然后再加另外一个科学课，因为 architecture 不仅只关于 art， 所以还有 history 也一定要上，因为它是很综合的一门学科，所以历史，然后理科还有文科都要去上。我上的是 partial IB，IB Spanish，IB Math，but then due to COVID, I'm not able to finish IB Chemistry and IB Biology, but I did finish it in grade 11. It's just because really we're scheduled and I don't have time for them. Yeah, it's okay you don't study chemistry, but then like my classmate right now, like many of them are in full IB and they got 45, so like 100% basically.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I just want to thank our guest speakers, James, Connor, and Tracy. They had a wonderful presentation, and hopefully everyone learned a lot. So yeah, I think that will be the end of our seminar, and this recording will be uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch it after. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming. And yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Oh, Justin has his hand up. Is that a... Oh, and if you search Co-Create Design Factory on YouTube, you should find my YouTube channel and all my recordings should be up there. Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you everyone. So, see you.